Welcome back to the Hoof and Fang podcast. I'm Kirt Graves.
And I'm Maz Maddox.
What's new, dude?
Did the
dude throw you?
Yeah, it did. Okay. You don't say dude often, so I was like, whoa. Man, I've got a lot of cool stuff happening, actually. I got
brag much?
Well, listen, if I have a platform to brag, I'm going to do it.
All right.
I got the first little sketch back for some chibis that I'm getting made of some dinosaur people. I don't want to say too much and spoil it, but our Patreons saw it. Patreons?
Our patrons on Patreon.
Mm-hmm. Saw it today, and they're excited. I am too. I'm thrilled. I also started a project in relation to the relic covers. And so the ball's rolling on that. I've seen some initial sketches, and those look fucking adorable. So those are TBD. I don't know when exactly I can release more info, but that's really cool. So a lot of stuff happening on the relic side.
Okay.
And I officially turned over Wild Contracts 2 to my line editor. So they have it now. So that's like, now I don't have to look at it ever again until we do the audiobook eventually. But yeah. So that's like one of the best parts, at least to me, which sounds awful, is when I can finally be like, I don't have to look at this book ever again. Like, it's done. It's just finalized. Mm-hmm. It can be like all the important bits are still fresh in my brain, so I can still write, but I don't have to like read any more of it because I've read it 45,000 times at this point. So yeah, it's nice. But yeah, some cool stuff.
And you're launching right into book 3, right?
Yeah, I'm working on it now. So I'm like actively writing some chapters. I think I'm like 2 or 3 chapters into book 3. I had to stop because I got myself stuck on something, but figured it out. So now I can like continue to go. So I'm hoping to really knock that out soon. So yeah. A lot of stuff, a lot of sticks in the fire.
Fantastic.
Yeah. What about you? How was your week?
Well, it's tax season.
Yeah.
We spoke about that, I think, a couple episodes ago. So I finally finished up that annoying task.
Yeah.
In the process, finding out that like the IRS still thought we owed money from last year.
Oh, that's right.
And then having to like, here's a tip, guys.
Yeah.
I finally at one point just Googled like how to get a real person on the phone on the IRS and found a blog of a CPA.
Okay.
Who walked me step by step through the IRS phone menu.
Oh, wow.
Of how to get to an actual person. It was literally like press 1, press 2, wait until they ask you this question 2 times. Then they'll give you a different option. Press 3, press 0, and it was just like exactly what you needed. And we got a person.
That's amazing. I'm going to probably have to ask you for that eventually.
So if you ever need to call the IRS, just Google it.
Okay.
Like, do what I did. Just how to get to a real person. I found this blog like right away and it was like,
nice.
It worked.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Awesome.
And the person helped us and everything was all good to go. But yeah, it's always a fun/sad thing to see how much money you made last year. Yeah. Supposedly.
Yeah. I never like it. Yeah, no shit. Yeah, I don't have it. It's gone.
Right. I don't remember spending that much money.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the big one. It's like, because if you look at it like as your total, like over the year, you're like, no, I never had that much money ever. But you did technically, but just over like tiny little chunks.
It's just all those little things about being an adult where like so much of your money is spent before it's even in your grubby little hands.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's so depressing.
Yeah. Rent and car payments and insurance and all that bullshit. That you're just like, this is life. Yeah,
I work this hard so I can like get this brand of toilet paper.
Right.
Like, this sucks.
I could not have a job and just live in the woods and I'd be breaking even.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Ugh.
Well, I suppose we won't do that though.
Yeah, I guess.
For now. If we suddenly disappear.
You know what happens.
Don't look for us in the woods because we want to be left alone. So we released our February audiobook last week, Faces by A.M. Rose. That sweet little chef's kiss of a love story.
Yes, very sweet.
And it's time to announce our March book. And I think some people are going to be very excited about this.
I think so too.
So our audiobook for March 2024 is the 3rd book in the Flesh and Bone series by Joel Abernathy, Shift.
Very exciting.
I did the first 2 books years ago. Every once in a while, I still have people coming at me and being like, are you ever going to do the 3rd?
Mm-hmm.
Well, here it is, guys.
Yeah.
It's going to be part of Hoof and Fang Audio. We will finally have the series completed.
Mm-hmm.
And so Shift will be coming to audio March 29th.
It's very exciting.
So if you are not already subscribed to the Patreon, if you do it right now, you can still get last month's audiobook and next month's audiobook for $10.
Yeah, this is the sweet spot for sure.
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
get both.
So stay tuned for more information on that. But
Yes.
we'll be doing that in March. And it feels like, I mean, February always just feels like it comes and goes. And it's like, did we even do that?
Yeah, right? So fast. I mean, it's the shortest month,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also like just in a weird part of the year too, where like I'm still kind of getting over January and then February is like a breath. And then you're like, oh, it's March. Like spring's happening. Like March is also a busy in quotes, like it's my husband's birthday month. So now I've got like birthday planning on the brain. Whereas February, I don't really have anything important.
Sure.
So it just kind of flies by every year.
Yeah. Yeah. Taxes and Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
That's really about it.
I need to get started on my taxes. I probably knock that out this weekend, but I'm like, oh, God, I don't want to do it.
I know. It's no
Sucks.
fun.
It's really
Especially
not.
when you like run your own business and
Yeah, that's the part that takes the most time. Like before I started doing Maz stuff, it was just, I just use TurboTax. Just boop, boop, boop. But
you just
now
enter all the numbers on your 1099s and you're like,
okay,
done.
Yeah.
Great. I had 3 jobs and it was as simple as like boop, boop, boop. Now I have 1.
Yeah.
And it's like, Jesus.
Yeah. It takes
This
you days.
is so much work.
Yeah, it
You know?
sucks.
And there's like 6 1099s and then you have to make sure they all match what you put in your accounting system. And then you're tracking down receipts from February of last year because it's like, oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh yeah, I got to remember the expense for that and blah, blah, blah. It sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what fun. This is great podcast
Yeah,
content.
great.
I'm sure
Yeah,
people are loving this.
Yeah, it's turning into talk about us complaining about taxes, which is the most like 30-something thing somebody can talk about. So,
Hey,
yay.
I'll do it while I still can.
Speaking of reality and life and things just being kind of a bummer, something that's kind of in my world right now is staying motivated when it feels like the world is on fire. It is very hard to stay creative and motivated to do your day job, do your writing, do anything that fulfills you when there's a lot of just gloom and doom happening just in the world in general and life. It's tough. So I thought maybe we would chat about that today.
Sure.
So
Yeah. This takes me back to 2021, January 6th.
Oh yeah.
Because that was the last time I remember feeling very acutely the world is on fire. What? How can anybody be productive?
Yeah.
Like, how is anybody at work doing things for job?
Yeah. For job.
Like how is any of this working? Like we were still so thick in the pandemic. There were not that much has changed, but we were still in a war in the Middle East. It was the and then suddenly after 4 years of a president who I personally didn't care for,
Shocker there.
Suddenly there's an insurrection and you're watching live on the news, people breaking into the Capitol and threatening to murder senators. And it's okay. I don't
feel great.
I don't think I'm recording this romance today.
Yeah.
Or much of anything for the next week. You just kind of it was coping shutdown mode. Where I was can't.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes that's kind of all you can do. Like when everybody has a limit and sometimes you're just nope. I'm not going to be a human today. I'm going to go be a potato because that's all I can manage to do.
Right.
So that happens. That's the last straw for me. Like when I hit potato phase, I'm I got to just be a potato.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
But
whereas now, I mean, things are easy breezy.
Yeah,
the
everything's
pandemic
great.
has turned into an epidemic.
Yeah. Everything's
we only have
fine.
we have a couple wars going on, but
Just a
in
couple.
other places,
It's just a smattering.
we're entering a presidential election.
That's never stressful.
Nothing's especially not in Wisconsin.
Oh, of
one
course.
of 6 key swing states.
Yeah, no, we're doing great.
Yeah, So I don't really know that I can connect to this right now because everything's going so well.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I all of that, and then of course my day job. Like today, I found out there's massive layoffs that happened. Like a couple of my friends got let go, and I'm like, God, like I still try to every day after work, after the day job, after we do our fun podcasty things, I try to go home and do at least an hour of writing, even if I really just don't feel like it. Like I try to get something done. And I'm having one of those days where I'm like, the motivation is just not there.
Yeah.
So I typically, when I feel this level of just like, I'm very close to potato phase. But I think when I get home today, I'm going to try to like either re-listen to bits and pieces of an audiobook I really like, or maybe sit down and read a comfort read for just like an hour to see if I can just like rev that engine again and be like, try to get those creative flow going when it comes to writing. And it's tricky. It's either going to be where I'm like, I'll read something and be like, I cannot wait to try to craft something this beautiful. Like this has inspired me to be wonderful, or I'll swing the other direction and be like, I am a hack and I'm terrible and I'll never be this good. But typically if I read something that I really, really like, it'll help kind of get my brain into like prose mode, and I'll start thinking like in a narrative style, so then I can just dive into it. But sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But that's one of my little tricks when I'm not feeling great about creative stuff.
Right. Yeah. I think we've talked about this before too. I need to do something totally different.
Yeah.
So like when the well is dry for narrating, like I just have to do something different with my brain. Something either more technical or creative in a different way, whether that's like building something with my hands or like painting something, or, starting a new podcast.
Hey, there you go.
I love to do that. But like even the creative process of like editing and like building the infrastructure of like, how are we going to gather information from people? Like those are all things that when I do that, it generally helps my brain come back to acting and narration, and I'm able to latch onto it a little bit better. I also just like, and also I take a medication to keep me focused.
Yeah. That's a big one. That's a benefit.
That was not present for most of 2021 when I was really struggling. So like that helps me focus, helps me to know that like some of my inability to focus is just those atypical neurological processes in my head. And it's like, you just have to say, no, brain, this is what we're doing now.
Yeah.
I know you don't want to.
Yeah. That's hard though.
I know it's not what you want to do, but it's what we have to do.
Yeah.
So here we go. Deadlines are super helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a big one.
So, scheduling properly really helps, because it's like, you don't want to I am not good with too much slack time.
Yeah.
Because
is it like give yourself an inch kind of thing, and then suddenly you're like building a shed instead of doing anything you're supposed to be doing?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So, these are all coping mechanisms that I've learned over the years to stay on track. And the more you succeed at that, the better you feel. And I do think that sort of like feeds your future success, because it's like, all right, I haven't missed a deadline. I'm gonna knock on wood as I say this, but like, I haven't missed a deadline in like 3 months. Like I stayed healthy, everything got in on time. Like, like things are firing. Even not every day. Not every day feels like you're firing on all cylinders, but like generally things are going really well, and that feels good. So like, let's keep that rolling.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then you do something silly like go on vacation and come back and you're like, how do I what?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
How do I job?
I don't remember anything. Yeah.
Right.
Too much of a break, and then your brain just is like, I don't actually remember how to spell. So I don't know what you're going to do to write a book.
Thankfully, I don't need to know how to spell.
Yeah. I really do. And I'm already crap at it. So if my brain really is just like, I forgot how to spell window, so that's where we're at today, I'm like, cool.
Right.
But yeah, I do agree. Like sometimes, like if I can sit and read and like kind of reignite that creativity, it helps. But oftentimes I'll do what you do and I'll do something totally not related, or like maybe adjacent to it. Like I'll play a video game with my favorites are ones with strong narrative, like storylines anyway. And that'll help, because I'm like, I still feel like I'm doing something not creative, but I'm also listening to a story. So I'll be like, oh, and then my brain will go back to the story I should be writing or whatever. But Yeah, it's either one. I'm trying to not let myself lean too much on video games this year. I'm actually trying to be cognizant that it can be a lot of like a big time suck for me.
Right.
So I'm like forcing myself to be like, instead of firing up Baldur's Gate again for the 80th time, like sit and read something you know you love. And then just like, because especially if I've read it 100 times or like reread an old favorite, I can remember why I gravitated towards it. And a lot of it is like how things are crafted. Like the prose is really good and I'm trying to get better at that anyway.
Sure.
So it'll kind of get me excited to be more creative on how I describe things, be like, I can do this. Like, this is beautiful. Let's carry that into this story. And that helps me like just motivate me to want to be that kind of author that somebody reads and is like, oh, this is beautiful. I want to write like this. So that helps me just get my ass out of the chair or into the chair, depending on the situation. But
yeah. I think like sleep is another really important thing. Like if you find yourself consistently not feeling like working, like check how much you're sleeping and the quality of your sleep. Cause that is often a trigger point for me where it's like, God, this is the third day in a row where it's like such a struggle to get in the booth. And it's like, when was the last time I slept for 7 hours in a row? Maybe we need to think about that. Maybe like tonight's the night I take a melatonin and I'm slightly comatose for 8 hours.
Go to bed early. Just be like, nope, we're taking the melatonin. We're going to bed. Yeah.
So that's part of it too. So yeah. I mean, and no one thing always works every time.
Sure.
Either.
Yeah.
And so there are the times when you just have to accept defeat.
Yeah. And that happens. And like, I think that's really hard because especially like, I'll get in my head to where if none of my little tricks work, I feel like I've failed somehow. And I'm trying to re-gear my brain to like, it wasn't a failure. This is just what you need. You have to rest. You have to just let your brain turn off, go watch a movie. It's fine. Yeah. Like that's part of it. Part of the career, like refilling my well is watching old movies I like a lot because the story's great. Or you like the actor because he's cute. Who cares? You know what I mean? Right. Just like let yourself unclench those fists of feeling like you're failing or that you have to be productive all the time. That's a big one for me. Yeah. Like if I don't feel like I'm working on my author stuff all the time, I feel horrible because it's something that I'm choosing to do and it's something that I want to hopefully one day do as my full-time job. So if I don't feel like I'm treating it like that all the time, then I'm slacking or I don't care. And that's not true. But it's hard to turn that little voice off in your head sometimes.
Right. And just preemptively, I'm going to say, if you're out there and you're listening and thinking, wow, that must be nice to be able to just walk away from work when you don't feel like doing it. I had an office job for many, many years.
Yeah.
I know that happens there too. There are days when you're just like, no, it's not happening. I will answer emails and I will respond with the bare minimum amount of effort to the things I absolutely must. But like today's a day where I sit at my desk until I no longer have to be here.
Yeah.
Like,
well, that was my day today.
Productive day.
Yeah. I mean, after hearing that a bunch of my friends got fired, do you think I got anything done? Hell no. Right. I responded to some emails and I was like, I'm going to just make some podcast graphics today. Like I am not dealing with that shit. Right. So you just
come back at it stronger tomorrow.
I'll whatever I missed today, I will get done tomorrow. Nothing will slack. I won't make anybody else's life harder. But yeah, sometimes day jobs are no exception. Sometimes you just can't. You need a mental health day. You need to just be like, no, not today. Yeah. But yeah, it's tough. But motivation can be a slippery mistress.
Right. Well, and the grass is always greener.
For sure.
There are some days now where I am like, I'm jealous of the people with office jobs. I'm like, oh, it must be so nice to just like have to be somewhere from this time to this time. And you have a set amount of things you're supposed to do in a day. And then when you leave, that's it. You don't think about it until you come back the next day.
Right.
Oh, that'd be so nice, you know? And there are parts of that are lovely.
Oh, yeah.
I used to really enjoy it. Like when
stability.
when I got that office job where it really truly was like you clock out at 4:30 and you're done.
Yeah.
And you're not expected to think about it or do anything until you come back the next morning.
Right.
I was like, this is I get paid to do this?
Yeah. You don't expect me to like answer emails until 8 or whatever? Right. Yeah. It's crazy.
Like, wait, I'm not allowed to put my business email on my phone. Like, you don't allow that?
Yeah.
Okay.
No shit, right? Yeah. That's great.
Fantastic, you know? So, I mean, I think there are good and bad parts to all of it.
For sure.
But we fall where we need to in a capitalist society that requires us to work to afford things like, you know, food and healthcare. And
yeah, exactly.
You know.
Yeah. That's what it is.
What do we do?
Yeah. You try new tricks and sometimes you potato. Like that's it. That's how life goes.
And you know what else is a really fun motivator? Money.
Yeah. I figured that was eventually going to come down to like, if you don't get in the booth or if I don't write that book, I'm not going to make any money and then I can't keep making more booths. Making more booths. Making more booths. That's what I do on my side project.
That would actually be quite lucrative. People
really
right? Need sound booths. I know a lot of people I could refer you to.
Hey, well, that'll be my next project then. I'll
sure,
get into making booths.
I would love to see you make a sound
Have
booth.
you ever seen me try to hang up a picture? It's hysterical. So, yeah.
No, honestly, I haven't.
Yeah, there's a reason. Yeah. You had to help me hang up the whiteboard. I failed at that one miserably. So, yeah, I will not be constructing anything. But yeah. Money's also a good one.
Yes.
You got to live.
Yeah,
so that'll light the fire
sometimes
under your
that's
ass.
like, oh, what am I like? Do I have to do this? Yeah. Because
you got to eat.
You want to get paid.
Mm-hmm. All right.
And I will say, like, and you know that I've been struggling with this a lot lately because without naming names, like there has been an issue with an ongoing series with a co-narrator.
Yeah.
Who is so far behind that I am not getting paid for those projects until months later.
Yeah.
And when you're not getting paid for work that you've done months ago, it's real hard to find the motivation to do the work today.
Oh,
it's like, when will I see this money? I don't know. It's not like it'll show up in a paycheck every 2 weeks.
Right. Yeah, that's a big one because you still got to work even if you're broke.
Right.
That sucks.
And it's like, wow, you know. Yeah. So I'm really treasuring the projects I have on the calendar right now because they're mostly just me projects.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes.
It's awesome.
That's what we love. It's all Kirt.
Yes.
All Kirt. And it's all Kirt. And as soon as it's done, it's done. And then I can submit the invoice. But yeah,
that is nice.
Yeah. And I mean, just to acknowledge, like sometimes other people fuck with your flow.
Dude, yes. Yeah. That's a big one. Just people come in and just tear things down. Like just either on purpose or not, usually not, but like just, you know, they got their own drama going on and then you're trying to just, like what I always say is I just want to write my dumb little gay books and then like the world's crashing down or like, you know, husband comes home and he's commandeers the entire office and I'm like, all right, you know what I mean? Like it just sucks. So. Yeah.
Well, that was fun. Yeah. Remember last week when we did that really fun thing with the awards?
Yeah, now
this makes up for it.
We're like, things are kind of hard right now. Anyway.
I do just want to mention, though, that if you are members of our Patreon, we are putting out some requests for your feedback. So check that out today in real time. If you're listening to this the day it is released, go check the Patreon because we are asking some questions and we are looking for your feedback.
Yes, indeed.
And today we are talking to our first returning author guest, JS Harker. She joins us for a second time to chat about her new release, Vicious Waltz, which is the second book in her Fang and Dagger series. Welcome back to our very first return guest on the Hoof and Fang podcast, author JS Harker.
Welcome.
Hi.
So good to be able to chat with you
thanks
again.
Thanks for having me back.
Oh,
yeah.
We love having guests.
Excited to come back.
Yeah. This is. I'm just thrilled somebody wanted to come back. Hopefully that means it went well the first time.
Yeah, right. That's a good sign.
I had a lot of fun the first time, and I did sit through and listen to the interview just yesterday to make sure it's like, okay, I'm not going to try to repeat myself too much because I've gotten to do this before.
Oh, smart.
Yeah, that's not a bad
I'm
idea.
sure we both did the same thing because that would be the professional thing to do. Would have been to review that episode, which is a thing we all did.
Of course. So anything that we repeat is on purpose.
Yes.
Because we like the topic so much.
Excellent.
And we were reminded of it when we listened again
Yes.
but moments ago.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
Yes.
No, I did have one birthday thing. My birthday is this Saturday, so the last episode came out around Kurt's birthday, and this one's around mine, and just funny to me. That's all.
That's crazy.
Oh,
that we're
nice.
recording
Weird
this one.
coincidence.
I know. Yours is in July, right?
May.
May. Okay. Well, I knew it was later.
Yeah, it's not too far away from that. We're friends.
Maybe you'll come back. It's on my calendar.
I know. Yeah, that's how I'm so shitty with birthdays that like my phone has to be like, "Psst, call somebody," and I'm like, "Oh, happy birthday."
No.
Yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, we will talk book stuff, but like,
Yes.
holidays and a new year have happened since we last chatted. So just like, how's life? How are you?
Well, I got to go on a vacation and then I got sick, so my brain is like, we're behind on words, and I'm like, no, it doesn't matter. We got to see Vicious Waltz come out in January, and we got to have good holidays, and it's been a good time so far this year.
All right, so we have had a book come out. Now let's talk books.
Yes.
I remember being
books.
very enthusiastic about this title when last we spoke. So now it is out in the world.
Vicious Waltz has been out for a couple of weeks now. The third book will be Wicked Games, I have decided, the title.
Nice.
And book 2 has ended on such a cliffhanger that it's been... I will admit that I am an author who reads my reviews. Like, I know that the reviews are for readers, and I don't ever comment upon them. But I am... Because I always want to grow my craft by figuring out what people liked, what people hated. And so it's been fun to see everybody really, really dig the cliffhanger. They're like, this cliffhanger is worth it, but I need book 3 now. And I'm like, yes, this is what I was going for. That's why it's like I have the Feeling Evil sweatshirt on right now. I'm feeling a little evil on that whole cliffhanger thing, but it's really working, and it was the first time I took that big narrative leap in that direction and did one of those, and I'm really happy that fans are enjoying it so far.
That's a hell of a gamble too, because man, readers feel very strongly about cliffhangers. So I'm glad it worked in your favor.
Yeah. I put it in my content discretion page at the very, I make note of, there is a strong cliffhanger here. Like, if you don't like strong cliffhangers, here is your warning. I am warning you, not just other readers. I am warning you. There's a strong cliffhanger. So that's that is in there for them, as well as other obvious, well, not obvious, as well as other stuff that I believe readers should have a chance to be warned about, because, you know, even though we are in urban fantasy genre and there's a lot of stuff that there's a lot of subjects that are that can be very traumatic and triggering for people, and you don't know what everybody's, baggage is, and what baggage will open up and start ringing 50 alarm bells, and you deserve to give people that warning that, like, hey, this stuff might wind up setting off the alarm bells. And so I made sure Vicious Waltz was really the first one I've put together that kind of page for, but Vicious Waltz is really the first one that really starts diving in rather than skimming past these subjects.
Now, just in case somebody is listening and hasn't gone back and listened to the first episode, Vicious Waltz is the second book in your Fang and Dagger series. Can you give us a brief recap of what Wrong Hunt, the first book, was about, and then how it leads into Vicious Waltz?
Wrong Hunt is the story of Zachary Wright, who is a 20-year-old vampire hunter from a family of two families of vampire hunters who's out to make a name for himself. And while his family is out on a mission, he winds up answering an email, seeing that there is a hunt in a town called Tallyville, Tennessee, that, there's a vampire to go slay here. And since he wants to prove himself, he jumps in the car, goes to Tennessee, doesn't really double check his information, and he winds up opening Roger's coffin. Roger had been put into an enchanted sleep, which Zach doesn't know when he first does it. Like, Zach takes note that, oh, there's some magic runes here. This is a bit more than extra, but whatever, I'm going to kill a vampire. And so Roger opens up the coffin. Roger wakes up and they have a little fight about it. And we wind up in a very enemies to lover type situation with the vampire hunter trying to kill a vampire. Yeah. Oh, no. They also end up in a hotel room with only one bed. But
oh no.
Oh no. But Roger convinces Zach that the better mission would be to kill his sire rather than him. And Zach's like, your sire is Seamus, this ancient vampire, and that would be a really, really huge feather in the cap, and then people really couldn't deny my legend or legacy at all. And so they spend the first book in Tallyville, getting Roger's strength back, figuring out Roger is teaching Zach these different manners to get along in vampire society. And then, of course, none of that will go exceptionally well. I don't know how many of the listeners have read all the way through, but there are hiccups. And there's a much bigger hiccup at the very end that I'm not going to spoil.
We'll avoid spoilers.
Yeah.
You'll avoid that spoiler there. And Vicious Waltz picks back up when they're getting ready to leave Tallyville and finally go to Chicago. Which is a whole ball of fun because Tallyville is this like nice supernatural utopia of sorts. The vampires and werewolves, everybody really seems to get along. That is not the case in Chicago. The vampires are a lot more vicious in Chicago. And so they have to navigate a lot more problems, and they have other people to consider as well as they wind up. Roger has other donors, which is what he considers the people he drinks blood from. He considers them donors. Sometimes they're called pets. And so he's got 2 more pets with him. And then they also have another vampire in their little hotel suite, who's becoming one of my favorite vampires, Takashi Sato. And he is like the missed connection. Like he and Roger hooked up a couple of times, but they never had a chance to develop a relationship. Yeah. And it winds up being a slow burn poly for this series, which was not something I originally intended, but Takashi just like showed up and I'm like, I can't ignore the chemistry going on here. Because he has it with Roger, he has it with Zach, the 3 of them have it together. I'm like, they finally felt rounded out together more so than like Roger and Zach were a great couple, but like Takashi really made them all like a really good poly triad there.
So did you know that was going to happen, or did that surprise you?
It was a little surprising. Not entirely, because Roger was always more of a poly mindset in general. He it was one part defense mechanism and just one part how he loves is just he loves a lot of people in a lot of different ways, and monogamy isn't...
After a few hundred years, probably seems kind of boring.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah, and he would have done the monogamous thing with Zach. They do have a very serious conversation with a lot of sexy times, but they do have a conversation about it where Roger's like, if you don't want to add other people to this, we won't expand this. I'm fine with that. You don't need to feel the pressure to do that. And Zach, sits through the situation and he's like, no, you know what? It's not really fair. And I think I do want to kind of explore this. And they soon add Takashi to their triad and make themselves a little triad there, which is fun. And in book 3, we are going to see Takashi's point of view. We don't have a point of view chapter from him in book 2, but we do get it in book 3, which is fun. He's very different from Roger and Zach, and it has been a lot of fun exploring that as well.
Awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. And I always love it too when like characters kind of take the reins and explode a little bit more than you thought they would. Like I've had those side characters that show up and I'm like, I love you more than I thought I would. You know what I mean? Like they're just so good. And then you're like, okay, they're all of a sudden now they have the spotlight. Like that's just such a fun feeling.
Yeah, there are so many different side characters in these books as well that feel like they're 100% people.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is Zach's friend Blake, who is a newer werewolf who we meet in book 1 and see again in book 2. And I would love to eventually spin her off and maybe have her own book, but I know that other stories that I'm working on, she may show up in them as well as part of this community of supernaturals in Chicago. And it's great having these side characters who even have their goals and their own lives and really can sometimes only do like a check-in because they have too many other things going on in their own lives to like, I can't sit for your main character's plot. I'm my own main character doing my own thing. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I love the idea of a spin-off series.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping to put one out about midsummer, probably later than that because I'm always more ambitious with how fast I think I can write my books. But
amen. I'm the same way.
It's like, oh, I can write 70,000 more words and get this book done by the end of this month. So goes the editor and it's like, wait, it's the 13th. Yeah, I can still do that.
I don't need to sleep. It's fine.
Yeah. But sleep.
Yeah. But it's like, I'll set those
what everybody's doing.
Yeah. I'll set those deadlines and be like, 100,000 words by April. Sure. And it'll be like April 1st. And I'm like, I'm not done. So yeah, it's just, I don't know what, I think it's like a universal author trait. Like we'll knock out like 2 books and be like, I know exactly what I'm doing. And it's been a lie for like 6 years.
I don't think we talked a lot about the setting the last time you came on.
No, I don't think that we have yet.
So like why Chicago?
Well, I'm an Illinois girl, and so I'm like, what's the biggest city I can think of is Chicago.
Mm-hmm. By the way, for those who don't know, being an Illinois girl means she's a terrible driver.
No, I am great. I am a fantastic driver.
No, Illinois people cannot drive. They are terrible drivers. I think they teach you to do that on purpose, just to annoy the rest of us in the states around you.
Are you just trying to pick a fight with our guests?
This is a long-standing rivalry. It's not my fault.
It's been a while since I've been in Wisconsin, but I will say when I went over the border to Iowa and was driving in Iowa, I'm like, why is everybody so polite here? How did everybody come to a complete stop? What is this chaos?
That is the law. That's what we're all supposed to be doing.
You clearly haven't driven in like Georgia or Florida.
Oh no, I have, and they're also, but like in the Midwest, you got to admit, the Illinois folks, you're the bad guys. You're the problem children of the road. There are many wonderful things about Illinois.
I live in the middle of the state. It is a very long time for me to get to any of the other states to know what the rest of y'all drive like around these parts.
Sorry for the interruption. I just felt like we have a responsibility in this podcast to like be culturally informative and like make sure people know.
Okay. Well, if we're being culturally informative on this front, for the record, it's Chicago and the suburbs that drive crazier than the rest of us.
That's probably true.
We don't drive. We don't drive quite like that,
and they are closer. So like they get the bulk of your representation.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and when they want to go somewhere, they probably think, oh, we'll go up to like Wisconsin and stuff like that rather than downstate.
Yeah.
Fair.
Fair. So we'll blame. So speaking of terrible Chicago drivers, Chicago.
Well, several of the series that like really impacted me as growing up and growing into my authorship, has been like Anita Blake, Harry Dresden, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and so Buffy, is West Coast, but Anita and Harry are both in the Midwest, and I wanted to contribute to Midwest. And if I need to do research, Chicago's a lot easier to get to than trying to create like an authentic New York. And there's always just kind of been a little bit of a lure of the city for me, because you have all these great big buildings and all these mashed up neighborhoods. And then you have all the different suburbs. And I went to school up at Northern Illinois University. So, so yeah, I was in DeKalb, which is, if you live downstate, you think it's a suburb. It's not. It's nobody around Chicago would think it's actually a suburb. But it's like, oh, it's only an hour to the city. Yeah, because it takes forever.
Right.
Because there is always a traffic jam. Like, yeah.
So you can be in Chicago and it can take you an hour to get to Chicago.
That tracks.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's true of a lot of major cities, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's something about infrastructure that we just don't have.
Let's not start on that.
Right?
That's what I'm saying. Then it just turned into 3 people being mad about stuff.
So Chicago's really a big city that I'm a little bit more familiar with over the other ones. And there hasn't really been a big, like I said, other than like Harry Dresden, but that's a mage and that's been going on for a while. And while there are vampires in it, they're a very completely different vibe of vampire than mine. And so I was just like, that's the city I'm going to play stuff in.
Yeah. No, it's a really great setting for any kind of fiction book. We're in our Patreon, plug, we're reviewing the Animorphs series, and they never tell us what city they're in, but it's amazing how diverse the geography is around this city that they never tell us about. And Chicago has a lot of the same hallmarks. It's right on a large body of water. It's not far from farmlands if you need something rural.
Right.
Again, it is a major city with all the culture that comes with it. It's a good hub for fiction stories.
For sure.
The vampires in my setting will have they'll create something that they call donor houses, which is pretty much where they pay humans, like, you feed us, we pay you. It's a whole vibe. Some of them are more reputable than others. And so one of the vampires was able to build like a huge kind of sprawling mansion inside of the last 30 years just by like going to the suburbs of Chicago, because there is still that much. I mean, she probably bought up some people's lands and a farm or two, but there was still, she was able to buy and build this and still be within an hour of the city, really. Especially, the great thing is Chicago's traffic kind of like really dies down at night. And I don't feel like it happens that way and necessarily, like maybe Atlanta a little bit, but other major cities, it like the loop just goes silent. At least the last time I was there around midnight, which for vampires is great because, they don't have to worry about the traffic when they're getting to their different places.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy that a major city would chill out at night.
Yeah.
You'd think it would be the other direction, like it'd just be bonkers.
I mean, you do have, even if you're just driving through Chicago, you go through the loop. So commuter traffic would stop, even if like local folks are still going to and from the bars. And like it has pretty decent public transportation in that part of the city between the L and bus lines and taxi services. So like if you're going out to the bars, there's not a lot of reason to like take your own car. Plus parking in Chicago is terrible. So if you're not commuting to and from work or passing through, like you're right, the loop gets real quiet. Because I used to be a traveling salesperson, and sometimes I'd be driving back home and I'd be going through Chicago, and it would be 11 o'clock, midnight, 1 a.m. and like it is, you just go. It's just like highway.
That's crazy.
Whereas, and I mean, I haven't driven through other large cities at that time of night, thank God. But I don't think the large interstates go through the city in the same way they do for Chicago.
Oh, well, they do in Atlanta. Atlanta has some bisecting it really big. Well,
and I mean, I shouldn't say they don't in other cities.
No.
The other two big cities like LA and New York.
Fair.
But like Atlanta, Minneapolis is the same way. The interstate goes right through. So, but yeah, Chicago. Now we've had a fun conversation about how easy it is to drive through Chicago at night.
Well, now I know. See, I didn't know that. I've learned something.
Come to the Midwest, drive through Chicago, not during the day.
Only at night.
Don't try to drive into or out of Chicago during the day. It's a pain in the ass.
You want
Hop a train.
You want the vampire experience, you drive through the night. Now, of course, a lot of the places, especially in the Loop, like everything shuts at 6 p.m. That's why there's nobody there.
Yeah.
But
well, and I was just thinking too, like, if you're writing a story about a group of people who are trying to be discreet about their activities, big cities are a great place to put them.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
makes sense.
And vampires, vampires need to feed too, and it gets a lot more noticeable if everybody's showing up with like holes in their wrists or their neck or wherever else. So bigger population, you can feed more vampires with it.
Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah, like Stephanie Myers with your vampires in a forest. Don't be ridiculous.
We can't blame just her. Like, Vampire Diaries is also in a small town. Charlene Harris put us in a small town for a bulk of the Sookie Stackhouse books.
There you go.
It can be done.
Of course,
it's just trickier. I think.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I think in Sookie Stackhouse they really only have one in their little podunk town, and then the rest are in a nearby, somewhat big city.
Right.
Bigger,
and they don't do a very good job of staying secret.
They don't. No, I mean the whole, premise on that is that they're just coming out into the light, as they were putting it, and I think.
So that just reinforces it's better to be in a big city. And otherwise we're picking a fight with other people. Pick a fight with Stephanie Myers. That's a way to get traffic to the website.
There you go.
It'll increase our SEO because we're in a feud with Stephanie Myers.
Yeah. I'm sure that'll go smashing.
No, I don't.
I'm sure she cares a lot about what we think.
Yeah. Jesus.
Zach would be very upset with us. Zach, my main character, Zach, is actually a little bit of a Twilight fan, or at least of the movies. And he makes Roger watch them. It's hilarious.
Aww,
that's amazing.
That's adorable.
Yeah, I love that.
Well, yeah, because he's also of that age where like, because he's a few years younger than I am. And by that, I mean actually quite a lot that I don't like to think about. But
we don't need to go there.
Yeah, no. He's a young adult. It's fine. But I was thinking about, like, okay, as he's growing up, what would he watch that was like sacrilegious in his house, which would have been Twilight, because they're a hunter's family, and that would be vampire propaganda. And then I'm like, what would have been his like Bioawakenings? And it's like, oh no, it was Twilight.
It was Twilight.
I love it. I love
Twilight.
Amazing.
This is how this boy knew he was into everybody, was that everybody in Twilight was too pretty. And it came out at about the time that he was like around 11 or 12, I think, at the time that it would have come out. And I'm like, oh no. This is why it has a special place in his heart.
That's great.
Oh man. Yeah, that's bringing back some adolescent memories. What vampires made me gay? I wonder which.
The answer is all of them.
Were. Yeah.
Just vampires in general.
Which ones were responsible for that one?
Yeah.
All right. So we've talked about Fang and Dagger and a possible spin-off series. Is there anything else that you're working on that we should know about?
Let's see here. I really, really, really. So I have my Tit for Tat series, which was a series of, they were originally written, like the first two were originally written for Dream Spun Beyond. And I've since taken them back, republished, and put out the third, which was, so the first one was Tit for Tat. The second was His Fairy Prince. And the third one is A Midsummer Night's Party. And it was like a winter fairy, a Halloween fairy, Halloween fall, and a summer fairy. And part of me really wants to do a version of that, but have it be FF instead of male. And so I have an idea, and I still have to, I don't want to commit to it too much because I want it out for this Christmas, but I doubt it'll happen this Christmas.
Manifest
this idea of
just put it out there in the universe.
Just manifest. But so the basic premise of it is kind of going back to a little bit of the tit for tat format, in it being that there is a girl who, or I should say a young woman who's got the sort of job she hates at Santa's workshop, but she's trying to make it through college. And then there is the young woman who is a fairy, at least fae born, possibly. I have this idea that Santa's village in this fairy realm that I've been constructing is actually a bunch of different like Santa's houses, because part of my structure for my supernatural type stuff or my paranormal has always been that belief systems are what create these things. And so with there being so many ideas and interpretations of Santa, that it's actually like this huge little, that's an oxymoron there.
We write books.
Yeah, we write books. I put all the good words in the books. They don't come out of my mouth. They go into my hands.
I'm all out of good words.
Yeah, I'm all out of good words. But so, I have this perfect little idea of this village that is filled with all these different versions of Santa, and that one of Santa's daughters is like, I want to go see the mortal world, and goes off and finds love in the mortal world is the basic idea for it. But it's very basic, and I can't really commit to actually getting it out this year, though I want to.
Well, I guess we will just wait and see.
Yeah, that's all we can do, really.
Peer pressure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming back on the pod and chatting more with us and letting
Thanks.
us know about your continued work in the Fang and Dagger series. Go get Vicious Waltz right now and keep your eyes open for wicked games coming soon, but we're not committing to a timeline.
No. Hopefully before summer actually strikes. But
And you know what? Summer is like,
That's a
Summer-
couple
what
months.
does that mean,
Yeah.
really?
so far,
Exactly.
right?
Right. So
It could be like August the 31st and it would still
it's
count
still
as summer. Yeah.
You know? Yeah. So, all right. Well, I hope you will come back again. Let us know when you have something more to chat
Okay.
about, and we'll,
I will.
you can be our returning guest a third time.
Yes.
Oh, we have that cruise we should talk about at some point.
Oh, are you doing the
Yeah.
cruise?
I'm doing the cruise. I'm
We're
on the
doing the
Rainbow
cruise.
Readers cruise. Yeah.
All right.
There's at least over 20 of us already signed up for it. But
yeah.
the interesting thing with that is that they've only they want to keep the amount of readers to creators balanced. And so
Mhm.
the more readers that sign up and go on the cruise, the more creators get to come, which is an interesting.
See, you already
dynamic
know
they've
more
done.
about this than I do.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I pay attention to the emails.
They've
been emailing
wow.
us.
Okay, I'm getting
Haven't you been
called
paying
out
attention to
on
that?
my own podcast for not reading the emails. But I don't.
and to be fair, there have been some of the posts in the Facebook group as well. That
There's a
that
Facebook
Jane
group?
and there's two Facebook groups.
I'm probably
There's one
a
for
part of it
us
and
and
I
there's
don't
one for
even know.
everybody.
This is a true situation of Joel being like, "Will you please come on this cruise?" And I was like, "No," and then he's like, "No, please come on this cruise." And I was like, "Okay." So I'm going on a boat in
You sound
August.
so excited about it.
I'm nervous.
Yeah.
Me
Yeah.
and boats, we don't get along. So like,
Ooh,
we shall
can sign up.
see.
yeah. You can sign up for your excursions too.
Oh,
It's a whole thing.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's happening. I'm going to be there.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll have a great time. I know some people who are going who I'm very excited to see.
Mhm.
I'm very
You'll get to
nervous
see
about
me in
being on a
person.
boat.
I am a little bit as well. Not gonna
So
lie.
that's Joel will be hearing about it if I do not have a great time because he promised me I would, and he said it's such a big boat you don't even notice that you're on a boat.
Well, I'm gonna wind up noticing because I have a veranda room, and I would hope I notice I'm on a boat. Like
That's
that.
true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah,
Well,
right? Like I'm
hopefully it
supposed to be
just
able to see
feels
the
like a
ocean.
large hotel
Yeah.
and it doesn't feel like it's moving
Hopefully.
all the time because that will do me in. So
Mhm.
yeah, so maybe we'll be having some in-person interviews, or maybe I'll be spending the whole time in a bathroom. Well, only time will tell.
Yeah.
Hopefully the fun stuff.
But yes,
Not the
if you
not
are
the sick stuff.
if you haven't already and you want to sign up for the Rainbow Readers Cruise, well, just Google that, Rainbow Readers Cruise. It's the only one.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact website. It's probably rainbowreaderscruise.com or something
Probably.
like that. But
Yeah, I
just
think it
Google
is actually.
Check it out. Find them on the social medias. Join us on the boat. I'm sure we'll all have a great time on the boat.
It'll be fun.
It'll be great. It'll be a good time.
It'll be great.
All right. So on that note, we will say thanks again for coming on. We will chat with you again soon. I will see you in October, if not before.
Yep.
And not October, August.
Yeah. August.
I will see you in August.
I'm like, October's a different conference.
Getting my cons mixed up. I'll see you in August, if not before. And perhaps we'll have you on the pod again before that as well. So thank you. I don't know how to end it now because I ended it. And then we started talking about something else. This is such a Midwestern thing to do.
Yeah. No,
it is so Midwestern.
Everyone's standing by the door with their jackets on at this point.
You know what? We're done. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you again to JS for popping in to chat. You can grab Vicious Waltz, the second book in the Fang and Dagger series, right now. And as always, her social media information is in the show notes. If you want to, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Go follow her.
Yeah, go check it out.
You go follow her. She's come on the podcast twice, goddammit.
Yeah, she's
go
my
follow
twin.
her Instagram.
Exactly. If you love me, you have to love JS. That's just the rule now.
Yeah.
So we're the same person.
We're getting bossy.
Yeah.
Here in 2024. And also make sure you're following Hoof and Fang in all of the places, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. And of course, always the best place is as a member of our Patreon. Go check that out. And whether it's as a free member or a paid member, we are still asking for your feedback. So
for sure.
We're looking for some questions. So make sure you're checking that out and following us there, whether you are a paid member or not. And we will be back next week when we will be talking to a very special guest, the other half of Maz's brain,
Yeah.
Jessica Johnson.
Indeed.
Bye.
Bye.